You're born in a private clinic in Monterey. Your father reserves the entire east wing of the building. 15 men guard every entrance. The doctor who brings you into this world gets paid more for this delivery than he'd make in 8 months. Your first cry mixes with the pop of French champagne bottles. You're 4 days old, and there's already a song, with your name circulating on northern radio stations. You didn't choose any of this, but it already chose you. Your childhood unfolds in a hacienda that looks more like a small town. There's a colonial chapel, 3 sports courts, stables with Pasofino horses, even an aviary with exotic birds your father acquired at an auction in Houston. You have everything a child could dream of, except one thing: the possibility of being normal. You don't attend regular schools. Teachers come to you traveling to the family property. You don't share games with kids your age. You hang out with the children of your father's trusted men. Kids who look at you differently because they know exactly who you are. Your first clear memory involves the men. They're always there. Men with radios, men with guns, visible under their men who straighten up when your father crosses any threshold. Men who call you young lady when you're barely 7 years old. Your dad is affectionate when he's present, but there's a perpetual distance. He always has pending business, always has meetings, always has calls he needs to take. When he dedicates time to you, he's generous and present, but there's a dimension of him that remains inaccessible, that dimension that makes those men look at him with a strange combination of absolute devotion and contained terror. At 9 years old, you ask the inevitable question: what exactly does your dad do? Your mom, an elegant woman who never goes out without impeccable makeup and exclusively wears European designer clothes, explains that he's a businessman, that he manages import and export operations for agricultural products. You want to believe her because you need to believe her, but you've already witnessed certain things. You've seen men arrive with suitcases they inspect in closed rooms. You've heard conversations in code that you don't understand, but you sense you should never repeat. Your education becomes a study in contradictions. On one hand, your father obsessively insists on your academic training. You have to be smarter than me, he constantly repeats. I learned by crashing against reality. You'll learn from books. You have access to exceptional instructors.
Listen carefully.
You master English from an early age. You study advanced mathematics, world history, economics. On the other hand, you also absorb lessons that no book contains. You learn that total trust in anyone is dangerous naivety. You learn that power isn't requested, it's exercised. You learn that loyalty has a price and betrayal has consequences. At 13, your father takes you to your first serious meeting. It happens at one of his mountain ranches. You arrive by helicopter. 40 men are waiting. Everyone stands up when the aircraft descends. Your father formally introduces you. This is my daughter. Eventually, she occupies the place I hold today. Respect her as you respect me. The men nod in silence. You barely comprehend the magnitude of what's happening, but you feel the gravitational weight of all those stares. In that instant, you stop being simply a child. You become the daughter. You meet the accountant around the same time. He's a man in his mid-40s, thin, with perpetual anxiety in his eyes, wearing designer glasses, and never separating from his laptop. Your father treats him with particular respect. It's not the respect he shows the commanders. It's something different, almost reverential. This man is worth more than 30 gunmen, he explains afterward. The accountant explains his function one afternoon, simplifying it for your understanding. Imagine your dad sells oranges.
You see here,
while
the
adjusting
assets
his
are balanced.
glasses. But he can't
This
report
ensures
those
our financial
oranges
stability.
to the government because they generate uncomfortable questions. So I create restaurant chains that only exist on paper, registered gas stations that never pump gas, commercial franchises that never open their doors. And I make all the money from the oranges seem to come from those legitimate businesses. The authorities review the documents, and everything looks perfectly legal. You ask if that isn't cheating the system. He smiles with deep sadness. It's cheating, no doubt, but it's the kind of cheating that keeps many people alive, including me. Your adolescence becomes a perpetual clash between parallel realities. You spend periods in Austin with your mom, living like any kid from a wealthy family. You visit shopping galleries, attend sporting events, go to social gatherings. Nobody really knows who you are. You can experience something close to normal. Then you return to Sinaloa. Remember that normal will never be an available option for you. You go back to the hacienda, to the armored trucks, to the armed men, to the immovable reality of what your last name means. At 15, you receive your first luxury watch. At 16, your first vehicle, a European SUV that costs more than 3 average houses. Your father hands it to you on your birthday, along with a semi-automatic pistol. The vehicle is for you to enjoy, he says as he hands you the keys. The weapon is for you to survive. You learn to shoot at a private range. You're skilled, exceptionally skilled. But every time you hold the weapon, you think about its real purpose. It's not for sport competitions. You begin to understand the business for real. Your father no longer hides anything. He explains the complete organizational structure. At the top is him, the ultimate authority. Below operate the lieutenants, who control specific territories. Each territory has operational cells that move product. But the real power, what sustains the entire structure, resides in 3 critical positions: the security chief, the routes coordinator, and the accountant. Without the first, you can't protect your operation. Without the second, you can't transport merchandise. Without the third, money lacks utility because you can't legitimize it. You observe up close how the financial machinery works. The accountant now leads a team. 6 people work in a discreet office in Mexico City. They look like regular employees of an accounting firm, and technically they are. But their real job consists of transforming millions in cash into legitimate assets. They acquire hotel businesses, fuel franchises, restaurant chains. They create export and import companies. They move money through 20 different jurisdictions before it returns to the country. It's a financial choreography so complex that even tax authorities lose track. Your father teaches you about the balance between respect and fear. You earn respect by being fair and generous. You earn fear by being relentless when the situation requires it. You need both in exact proportion. Only respect, and they perceive you as weak. Only fear, and they betray you as soon as they detect an opportunity. At 19, your father sends you to study business administration. At a private university in Guadalajara, it's your official identity. Officially, you're a regular student from a prosperous family. You have classmates, attend social events. You even have a boyfriend who believes your family is in agricultural commerce. But there are always 2 discreet bodyguards 50 meters away. Your truck is armored, though it doesn't look it. You constantly change routes. You never stay at the same address for more than 2 weeks. You learn that being the daughter is living in a constant paradox. You have unlimited access to financial resources, but you can't enjoy them freely. You're respected and feared, but you can't cultivate genuine friendships. You have influence, but not autonomy. You can acquire anything material except anonymity. You can travel to any destination, except the only place you really want, an ordinary life. Your father begins to include you in important negotiations. You meet South American partners, elegant and educated, who discuss tons as if talking about stock market shares. You meet North American distributors, pragmatic and nervous, who only require their merchandise on time and without complications. You watch the accountant present financial reports in digital presentations exactly like a legitimate corporate meeting. There are quarterly growth charts, detailed cost analyses, profit projections. The only difference is that the product in question is illegal, and the losses aren't measured in money but in human lives. You start actively participating in the financial aspect. The accountant instructs you in the fundamentals of money laundering. He explains shell companies, smurfing operations, fictitious loans between offshore corporations. Your father moves product, he tells you, but I transform the money that product generates into something usable. And honestly, moving money is significantly more complex than moving merchandise. You hide merchandise in secret compartments. Money has to look completely legitimate too. Governments that have increasingly sophisticated detection systems. At 22, you've already witnessed too much. You've been present in meetings where human destinies were decided. You've seen the consequences of betrayals. You haven't executed directly, but your decisions have had lethal repercussions. You start drinking to fall asleep. First beer, then high-end whiskey. Your father notices immediately. Be careful with that, he warns you. In this business, you can't have exposed vulnerabilities. Alcohol is a weakness others can exploit strategically. The accountant shows you numbers that deeply impact you. The organization generates approximately $2.5 billion annually in gross revenue. After deducting production costs, transportation, institutional bribes, and security, about $700 million remain in net profits. Of that, $350 million is successfully laundered and converted into legitimate assets. The rest remains as cash hidden in warehouses, buried on rural properties, waiting its turn to be legitimized. The problem isn't generating money, the accountant explains, while reviewing spreadsheets. The problem is what to do with it. We have so much cash that it literally deteriorates in some warehouses from humidity. We lose millions from physical decomposition of paper currency. It sounds absurd, but it's completely real. That's why we need to constantly launder. Cash that can't be used is dead money. Your life is completely surreal. You're 24, officially. You're a young businesswoman in the real estate sector. You have corporate offices, formal employees, legitimate projects that build real buildings. But the reality is that those businesses are simply components of the laundering system the accountant meticulously designed. You build residential developments using capital of illicit origin. You sell them to legitimate buyers at market prices. The money you receive is already completely clean. It's a perfect cycle. But behind the professional facade is your true existence. Clandestine meetings, decisions that impact thousands of lives, delicate alliances with other organizations, silent conflicts over territories. You're like the CEO of a multinational corporation, except your corporation traffics prohibited substances, and your competitors don't sue you legally. They simply eliminate you. You start questioning everything. Late at night, alone in your luxury apartment in Santa Fe, you wonder who you'd be if you'd been born into another family. If your father were an architect, university professor, ordinary merchant, you wonder if you'd have any option to leave, even if you really wanted to. The answer is obvious. No. You were born into this, and you'll die in this. Your last name is simultaneously your identity, your power, and your perpetual prison. The accountant shares your existential despair. One night after too many glasses of cognac, he confesses, "You know what's most painful? That I'm genuinely brilliant. I could have been CFO of a multinational corporation. I could have taught at the world's best universities. Instead, I use my talent to help introduce illegal substances into the neighboring country. And I can't even quit because I know too much. I'm trapped." You watch your father age prematurely. He's 53, but looks 65. Chronic stress, constante paranoia, permanent threats. He's survived 5 assassination attempts. He's seen almost all his childhood friends die. He's still extremely powerful, but the cost of power is etched in the deep wrinkles of his face and in the way he inspects every space before entering. You realize this is your inevitable future. Maybe you'll have 10, 15, 20 more years of influence and power. Then, if you have extraordinary luck, you retire before they eliminate you. If you don't have luck, you end up executed or in a maximum security prison in another country. There are no happy endings in this business. There are only less terrible endings, and the least terrible ending is living long enough to see your own child eventually enter the business, perpetuating the endless cycle. You're the boss's daughter. You were born in a palace that's simultaneously a prison. You have absolutely everything except genuine freedom. You're feared and respected, but never truly known. You constantly live surrounded by people, but completely alone, in essence. And every day you survive is simply another day in a sentence that began exactly the day you were born and will inevitably end the day you die. This is your immovable truth. You're heir to an empire built on human suffering. You're a prisoner of a last name worth millions, but that costs absolutely everything. And the darkest part is that you don't even know for certain if you want to escape anymore, because this is literally all you know. This is your world, and in this deeply twisted world, you're the princess of a kingdom nobody in their right mind would want to inherit.